Peace and black power, brothers and sisters. Peace and black power. It's your main man, Mr. X. Always giving you what you want to give you what you need. Raw ass show. I've been doing my shows on the phone and um, not on the computer, which is harder to do. Um, because with the computer access, I can go into YouTube, I can show videos and things like that. I can play music, bring the intro, get you into my pocket like I like. My man J. Mar Milton music. Shout out to J. Mar Milton dropping a new album. Much success to him. Dig what I'm saying? Good morning in the eastern region of New York in the United States. I think it's safe to say good morning everywhere, whether it be LA or the Midwest or whatever. It's early in the morning, but we're moving and grooving here in New York. I just saw one of the most I saw it last night, and when I got a few movie reviews, some on the Facebook, some on YouTube, and like mostly it's political based movies or movies I can maneuver to be from the political perspective. If I can look at it and deviate from the actual genre that was it was placed in, and to deviate from that and implement it in a more black political structure, I would do so. But Jordan Peele's movies have been very political. I haven't seen all of them, but I am a fan of Candyman. I'm a fan of Tony Todd. Actually, the first Candyman movie I watched was the second one, which kind of deviated a bit from the original. And so I'm still learning about what is Candyman and what his purpose was. And they kind of shifted it. Jordan kind of shifted it and then paying homage. And I love when people make remakes and pay homage to the original content. You see what I'm saying? When they pay homage to it, it's beautiful. You dig what I'm saying? And I actually like part two myself because I liked how, like, in the original one, it was like original. So in part two, they kind of have him show up places, and when he kills, I think the production was a lot better, showing his power. Like in the first one, he had a one kill, in the 92 one, spoiler alert, brothers and sisters, um, where where he where the shorty called on him, and he's in an office, but there's no mirror anywhere, so she just calls him, right? And he shows up, come up under the desk, and eviscerates the guy, then unlocks her restraints because she's in a mental insane asylum because he's accused of committing the murders that quite obviously Candyman had committed, and then he flew out the window. It was kind of just weird. So part two had certain things where he was a ghost. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was. He was a ghost, and he disappeared. But in the 2021 movie, the things that they allowed him to do, the little picky boo things, it kind of reminded me a bit of, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and how it was kind of like a picky boo type of thing where he's in the mirror. You can't physically see him, but you can look in the mirror and see what happens, and then Jordan went there, man. Jordan went there. Shout out to Jordan Peele. And I understand from a black nationalist perspective, those who are hardcore net militants like myself will look into his personal life and things like that. And I continue to use the Vietnam War as a strategy for revolution and obtaining freedom. That the Vietnamese did not care for the United States, the white representation of the United States. Robert F. Williams, the legendary black nationalist, was overseas during that time, assisting the Vietnamese in their war against the United States. and had them create a strategy to pander to the black soldiers in Vietnam. It wasn't something they did on their own, and you never see that in any of the movies. But I told this story before, and people who fought in said war had agreed that these things were occurring. Kind of shook up that I knew. But when you're a seeker of knowledge and things like that to inspire and empower your people, you want to relay those messages, especially in a time of warfare, and that blacks were awakening and being their lives were being spared. Notes were being left. Hey, so brother, this is not your war. We the same people. And that in Vietnam, they were seeing black Vietnamese darker than them. So that threw them for a loop because the presumption is, hey, these are lighter skinned people, lighter skinned, but not as dark as them. We look the same. You know what I'm saying? That was when the height of the political consciousness of the black man in his time in America. Uh, and so I say that to say that Jordan Peele, biracial black dude, but they use that to confuse us. If you got a black seed planted in your white mother, that child is black. So says the teachings of Marcus Garvey, and the fact that they created the one drop rule to make sure that we know who has the nigga gene, and they know how powerful it is. And he married a white woman, but he has been giving us very, very, very good material to use to bring up the discussion of race within horror. He's taken on the horror genre and has tackled this thing. I think this was his screenplay, and I forget who actually directed it, but this comes from the mind of Jordan Peele. And people can create screenplays and stuff, direct it from the beginning, or sell it. You know what I mean, and let other people deal with it. And he kind of is in the background giving some advice in terms of what his vision was. But ultimately, they would share the credit. But what they did with Candyman, or what he did with Candyman, was absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely, totally unbelievable. I saw it last night, and it's like one of those things. Don't watch a horror movie before you go to sleep. But I'm more of, what feeling does it give me when I watch it and I'm in my sleep state? Is it a dreadish feeling? Is it a feeling of sorrow, depression, anger, sadness, resentment? Or is there a fulfilling type of emotion that comes over me that, God damn it, I loved it. I loved everything about it. And unfortunately, I have to watch it again. I watched it with my wife. Wife fell asleep. My son is in the corner, my newborn son. So, with the dialogue, right, you want to be able to hear everything, so you can really put it together. So I have to check it again. But that's not how I do reviews. I watch the movie one time and then I get right to it while it's fresh in my mind. Uh, uh, and it just, we want to cover every scene, but this is a review, right? So this is spoilers like a motherfucker. Okay. But the connection to the first movie, because I had watched the first movie last. I had to watch the first movie because they was making so many connections to the first movie. Like, let me watch the first movie. And now I've seen them all because the only Candyman movie I seen was part two. I like that one. But it has very little connection to the first one. Dabs in it a little bit and then leaves it alone. But this new one was like, boom, we're going into it. And it deal with racism, man, on a subtle and then an over the top, an extreme way. You know what I mean? But it has all the culture of black life. You know what I mean? Like, you look at it, and I'm just gonna go random here, the different points of the movie. Um, for instance, we talk about the agenda, the LGBT agenda. So as a tall black man, right, who's dating this white man, and this is the sister, the beautiful sister, right? I think she's African. Shout out to my African brothers and sisters. Um, And I think the other brother's African. Oh hell, I think all of them were African. The only brother that was not African was Tony Todd. And I think that we're seeing Hollywood shift from utilizing FBAs that were in the original movie to now going to non-FBAs and immigrants. So they really can't encapsulate that fight against white racism. African immigrants don't really understand our beef with Caucasians because they haven't lived in close proximity to them all their lives. They have faced neo-colonialism, where if their government is floundering, it is black people that is hurting the government. But if they see success, if they see business and businesses and high rises and things of that nature in certain affluent African nations, it's all black. And I think it's great for FBAs to see that. That's the kind of change. And like FBA's got to see black people in a beautiful city, and we're everywhere in all facets of the foundation and the infrastructure of said buildings, of said businesses, enterprises. We have to see that. We need to see that. Africans have to be here to have close proximity to whites to see them as they really and truly are. They only see them momentarily when they're in a savior or rescue position. They have resources. They're smiling. They're putting on their fake face. We see them when they wake up in the morning, racist. When they eat breakfast, racist. Put on clothes, racist. Give us vaccines as racist that are murderous. Put on their uh, hoods to go to Klan meetings, or put on their insignias to go to white racist organizations that stem from uh, KKK, the KKK organization, white supremacist groups that plan and plot and strategize to hunt blacks and have the sheriff under their thumb, have the common council members under their thumb, have the police department under their thumb, so they can hunt blacks like it's the world's most dangerous game. I believe I actually believe that's a story about hunting black people, to be honest with you. And um, um, uh, get away scot free, no charges, being buddy and palish with the governor, right? Controlling politics from the inside and out. They have to see that. They have to see that. And it would do us both well to kind of have an understanding, right? Because the reality is there's a thorough brainwashing between the Africans on the continent and the Africans here. We here, as founders of Black Americans, have now just realized that Jesus Christ and God ain't white. It took a lot of years and a lot of attack on destroying that image. But by and large, the majority of our people have an understanding that Jesus isn't white, right? If he existed, that's a whole nother discussion. But just the images that we know is Caesar Borgia, that he was a gay criminal and lover, I believe, of Michelangelo or one of the Ninja Turtles, uh, that created the painting, that was given the task to create a painting of Jesus as a white man, and I had to get creative because there were no images of him, and so he used his lover. Because I'm not going to use any. Look, listen. If I said okay, if someone said okay, create the image of the original black woman, and I have my wife and I have my daughters, I can choose one of my daughters or I can choose my wife, someone I love. If I'm close proximity to somebody, if I'm alone, then I'm just alone. Then you kind of just choose somebody. But when you're choosing a man and you choose this guy, there's been uh, uh, research and belief that this guy, they were bed buddies. and that he chose him. And that, interestingly enough, Caesar died at 33 years old. Ain't that a bitch? Hmm. But the African wholeheartedly believes Jesus is still white. And so that messes with their mind. And so they get those Africans and bring them here. So they're kind of missing, they do foundational Black American based movies. They're missing that punch. Because the designs in the movie, the clothing in the movie, I can tell that it was dominated by the African culture, which is, it's okay. But we see the agenda of pushing us out. So you have the gay agenda with the gay brother having a semi-prominent role, had a lot of lines, had a lot to say, very sassy. The white man was just casually gay, while the black dude got to be overtly gay. And then, again, they dealt with racism from the opening stanza. And the sister laid it out about gentrification. They dealt with gentrification. And the first two movies showed you that, but didn't deal with it. Didn't flat out say, hey, this is what's going on. They showed Cabrini Green as the war zone that had been coming made to be. You see what I'm saying? Uh, they pointed that out in the new movie. They never did the first two. The second one was in New Orleans. The white woman had a very prominent role, right? The sister that was running with her in the first movie, now I'm going back and forth, there was a sister that was running with Shorty. In the first movie, she got cut in half, unfortunately. They didn't show it, but you can hear it, the ripping of the body and the flesh and the grunting of the black man having to kill uh, our sister, who seemed to be disconnected from the whole. You see, he only killed one black person, no, two, in the three movies. Unfortunately, black people were involving themselves in the Candyman story, and anybody calls him will be killed. Now, once he's brought back, it seems he says, okay, I haven't been around in a while. The first that calls me will join me. So I'll spare your life until the end. Now, Jordan Peele did a shift on that. Because initially it was about just joining Candyman. We're just going to kill motherfuckers. We're just going to terrorize people. And they have very slight underpinnings of justice, race justice. That people blood whom are innocent, they think I'm going to be killing innocent people, but they're not. And that goes to the name and uh, uh, him being antagonized by the name, right? You're antagonizing me. You see what I'm saying? And you'll see, and again, on the fast forward at the end, and again, this is a spoiler alert, brothers and sisters. If you've ever seen the movie, then don't listen to this. At the end, where the girlfriend calls on him right directly after he dies. So usually he's just a premonition. But because his body is still there and he just recently died, she calls on him, he gets up and starts eviscerating cops, which is the best scene in the film. I mean, the ending climax is just one. I mean, you could just watch that. Like, it builds up to something. You're like, damn, where's this thing going? And then it gives it to you. You know what I mean? That's one thing about a build up, and then it gives you the punch that you need. Part two really didn't do. There was a build up. It's like, where is this going? Like, how you going to defeat this guy? And then he got the mirror and everything. And I'm giving all types of spoilers. But in part two, how he was defeated was there was a mirror. That's the whole mirror thing. Um, was put in that uh, the father of the white woman that he was screwing put the mirror in his face and said, "Look at yourself." You know what I mean? You did this to yourself, motherfucker. I asked you just to paint the beauty of my white daughter. I ain't asked you to touch her, sully her, because that's what that is. You know, you violated her. Even if it don't matter if she agreed. This is dealing with the misogynation that we were talking about. These race mobs that will kill black men if they had a consensual relationship with a white woman. The white woman could always say to save herself, well, she was raped, and they will coerce her to do that so that she keeps her name. You know what I'm saying? Even though people know, she like black dick. You know what I'm saying? But while he was painting her and everything like that, conversations ensue, and she sees how great of a man he is because actually he was a freedman, and that his father, who was a slave, was able to amass wealth and then have Mr. Robitaille, who was basically a boule. Daniel Robitaille was a boule. His father had obtained masses of money after being freed, and this is true. These I think this was before the actual boule was created. You have to check the dates on that. But there's the freedmen who, since the beginning of white racism and white dominance, they had been used, right, to be a buffer class between blacks and white. That's why he was able to get the work that he got at that time period because of his background. The last name, what slave plantation he came from, you know what I'm saying, and what that slave master did, and then his references amongst other whites, and that obviously his work was last. Trust me, his work was last. It wasn't about, maybe in 2021 you can say, all right, we see his work. Oh yeah, it just happened to be black. Nah. Oh, this great painting. Oh, it's a nigga that does this. Okay, I need to know what plantation he come from. Does he come from money, checks and balances, blue vein society? Okay, cool, cool. And he's just gonna paint my daughter. That's it. And so Robitaille, going with the freed man spirit, thinking that he was a man just like the white man, said, "Oh, we just this natural course happens where I'm discussing her and I'm painting her, I'm looking at her face, so I'm falling in love with her as she, sits there in her beauty, this white woman beauty. You know how we always hankering for the white woman, and that in these sects uh, of so-called black prominence, that you have some way assimilated with the white dominant society that you can move. And in that rage, he became revolutionary. And this is the thing: a lot of times, and it happened in Haiti in the revolution, that people flipped on the master when they found out that they are not in kinfolk. Even if you got the same blood of the master says, you're still a nigga. And ultimately, I'll do away with you just like I'll do away with the other niggas. And so when the revolution finally occurred, those who had aligned themselves with the state and were used as a buffer class realized they were going to get eviscerated and exterminated as well with the rest of the Africans. They decided to join their brethren only when they knew they were going to get the axe. And Daniel Robitaille is one of those individuals. Making money, going across the country, dressing in the high fashions, doing work as a painter. This is where painters dominated the market because everything had to be painted by hand. It's not like photos and stuff like that now. And they made the connection between Anthony McCall being a painter and an artist and the original Candyman Daniel Robitaille. But stay with me. So Daniel has this relationship. The father finds out, pays a mob of people to tackle him, beat him up, cut his hand off, pour honeycomb on him. That's where the bees come in. The bees that the honey was taken from, the bees come back to claim the honey, sting him to death. Of course, they got to burn him. Of course, they got to cut off the phallus. That was in the original movie, 92 Candyman, where the phallus was cut off. You see? And these are the things that are done in these movies. And these things are done in real life. Cutting off the phallus that whites have to continue to attack the phallus, the regenerative power, the reproduction power the God power of the black man. But this time they cut off his hand, right? And so with that great pain, one of the white children that were always in audience when a black body was burned and hung and lynched. This is how generations continue of racism. They had to make sure that they had to make sure that future generations would remain dominant, that they had to have the same relationship between whites and blacks that they had 1700, 1800, 1900. They have to ensure that power stays well into the future, that blacks never gain it back, never gain it back. This was never going to be a thing of temporary dominance. Nah, in perpetuity. So, to guarantee this, when we kill these niggas, we want our young folks there to enjoy it. We're going to create games where we have babies and little holes in their heads that are stuck out, and you try to hit the baby with a baseball, right? No compassion for African life because they're not really alive. Negroes, dead things, a derivative of necro. Minister Malcolm talked and preached about this in the mosques in the 50s and 60s. You ain't nothing but a spook, remember? They have to dehumanize you. So when things occur to you, ain't nothing but some niggas. They have to reiterate that amongst themselves. So that's the initial conscious thought process. Ain't nothing but some niggas. And so under that auspice, right? I'm giving you perspective. Let me set the stage here that creates Candyman 2021. If you remember in the initial parts of the movie, um, they were all gathering there, and the gay brother told the story to break the tension because he's dating a white man. And there was a scene right before then where the sister said, you know, white folks gentrifying us. They clearing us out, move Cabrini Green, and had some quote unquote upgrades, but all the people are gone and all that. And she said to him, oh, no offense. I said, no, none taken, because he's supposed to be the white LGBT ally, right? We all in this together, right? Black History Month now has been inundated with gay history. They can't just have, all right, you want to have your separate, okay, have your separate month. Have a gay history month. Why are you merging it into black history, right? Well, now it's being dominated now, bit by bit, that black people started Black History Week, morphed to Black History Month, and became mainstream, right? Because whenever we kicking ass in the streets, we want justice, we want proper representation in government. They give us symbolisms. And one of the first symbolisms was Black History Month. And eventually they'll take it, right? And they'll mainstream it, and they'll make it Gay Month. You know? As there wasn't Kwanzaa, I forget the day that we celebrate Black August or something like that. They call it an actual holiday. Now we got two black holidays, King Day and that day, and I don't know if we get compensated for it. If you're working, if you're an employee, you get a day off and money. They give you everything but what you asked for. And then we have paid on the book Negroes who champion it, saying this is a step in the right direction. As they said previously, the last 3 or 4 steps over the last 40 years. We whip ass in the streets, buildings come down, officers are convicted, they have to compromise, but we don't get the reparations that we deserve. Moving forward. So the comment is made, white folks are doing this thing, and that upgrades were made. And so he couldn't help. And this is what I tell you about these fucking allies. He couldn't help his racism came spilling out. He said, "Oh, you mean like this one you're living in?" And they're like, "What? What is that about?" Because we talk about a collective community of blackness that you can see how your people living just by seeing how they're living. White folks like to use one black person and say, "Hey, you guys are doing well. I mean, you're doing well." That's not the point. The point is about the collective African and his social, political, and economic stance within said nation. Go out into the city and see where the black people live, and you see we're still at the bottom. The brothers, the brother who eventually became Candyman from the beginning, Anthony, talked about the shit shouldn't have been created at all. That it was done purposely. Because whenever you see movies dealing with the so-called black ghetto, it's just a ghetto. It's like all black people are ghetto. And outsiders believe this is who we are. This is the entire representation of black people globally. And so they had just this small discussions of, hey, hey, this was done to us by people that look like you. We didn't do this to us. You did this to us. And so that uncomfortable race relationship was there. It was the tacky relationship. Even the gay relationship, see, like it was on rocks. But the gay boyfriend, as we do, kind of had it in his pocket, knowing that his cracker uh, boyfriend is gay. Oh, not gay. Well, he is gay, but racist. He knew it. He knew it. And there's always that tension there, which is why we shouldn't be getting with them at all ever, because these things occur, and there's nothing they can say, and there's nothing they can do. They can't understand that, and you just find yourself frustrated. But in any case, he covers for him, tells the story about Helen and the initial Candyman and what occurs. And I had to go back and watch the movie, the first one after that one. I was tired. I had 6 hours of movie watching and stuff. And yesterday was my day off. I kind of chilled, but yeah, I was tired at the end, man. But you know, they talked about Helen, her looking for Candyman, writers coming for a story. So they come to the hood. This is what we talk about exploitation. Outside entities coming to the hood is like a jungle, right? It's like this Ferris wheel that moves 150,000 miles an hour, right? It's like going to Mars. It's like going to space. It's like going 3,000 leagues under the sea. You go to the roughest, toughest neighborhoods, and they tell your friends, "Dude, I went to the hood, dude. Dude, I went to the hood. Niggas was out front, Cabrini Green, dude. You know, yeah. Oh my God, dude, it was really scary." And they tell their white friends drinking wine when she's back on her loft at the top of a fucking building. See, the beauty of Candyman, he can find you anywhere. You were not safe. That's why he became a favorite, because I seen how he was wasting rich white folks that put him in the position in the first place. He's like, I'm paying my penance. To think that I was a free man and operated, and I looked and turned a blind eye to all the other people who looked like me, who were still in bondage. And it took me to lose my life to realize I must continue to fight for them. But we didn't get there yet. So they tell the story of Helen and the saved baby, not realizing, I didn't realize it, that the saved baby was in the room hearing the story. Farewell to the flesh. You're coming back to the beginning. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Right? And there's a young brother there who had seen the Candyman from the 70s. See, there's a lineage. Now I'm going to get to it. There's a lineage of Candyman. See, this wasn't what it was supposed to be in the original. He was just looking for white women to be along with. Whoever called them, all right, I'm going to kill a bunch of people, and I'm setting the stage because the reality is I'm gonna pin all these murders on you. They're not gonna believe that I did this. You see, so you coming with me. And part two, the brother never called him. The brother never called him because he knew. And so long as you didn't call him, he was kind of all right. It was kind of like a parlay. Like the spirit can sense, like, I'm not messing with this guy. Candyman, I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke at all whatsoever. I'm good on you. I believe everything. I'm not. I don't got no mirrors in my house. I'm cool. We like, I'll spare you because you got respect. These other motherfuckers that's around, they gonna die disrespected by name. You know what I mean? So and the second one, Annie called him in front of all the children. Now, none of the children died, and this is the kind of like the continuum or whatever. Like, does this thing, really is it consistent? The most disturbing part in the 2021 film is the young girls whom are in high school and they're slaughtered. And I wonder if he took heat to that, but you didn't see it, and I think that's why he didn't take heat from it. That in certain, because you're in the system of white supremacy, you can't show a black man slicing up white girls, right? But they get slaughtered, and like the screaming and yelling, yeah, it does fuck with you. You hear slicing and meat cutting and blood spilling and all that stuff. You gotta have a strong constitution, and like I said, the most militant of militant make you squirm a little bit. But the reality is, he said, "Hey, you think they're innocent, but they're not." And so a young sister had came into the bathroom, and they all looked at her, and she stopped cold, then went into the stall. I've seen that before. I've been the only black person in school, and I wasn't terrorized to that point because I wasn't going out. I was a ghetto kid. I wasn't going out like that. Like, I'll punch you in your motherfucking face. Like, we gonna get it in. But they would have the little snarky comments, just enough, just enough, so that if I wanted to pursue it and fight, I could. But I just left it alone, and they didn't continue. They didn't do the whole encircle me and all that other crazy mess, because then it'd have been on and popping. But I realized there was something different going on here. That there was a black-white dynamic, and that there was a tension. And so I had to act a particular way to get any type of credence or recognition from the students. You want peer recognition. Everybody wants peer recognition, especially as you are developing as a young adolescent. You want validation. It's good to have adult validation, but you come to realize that they're supposed to do that. But the real recognition comes from children, your own peers. And so that young girl ran into the bathroom, and you could tell that it's one of those pictures in 1,000 words or something like that. That scene, you can kind of and tell what that young girl had been through at the hands of these white girls, and that the lead white girl probably had terrorized her up and down, left and right. The white privilege and arrogance that these people like bask themselves in. They move a particular way that says, "I'm the best one." This is what Malcolm X talked about, having gone to Mecca and all that stuff, And he talked about, the white person here in America says, "I'm the best one. I'm the number one person." But when he was over in the Islamic countries, he didn't really sense that there was a real and generous and general brotherhood, right? But she walked with that arrogance, that air of invincibility, that air of people need to move out the way when I'm coming. And this is the same uh, 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 personification that had put our people in chains in boats, right? and seasoning camps. And so you have to dig deep when he says, hey, you think these people are innocent, but they're not. And so this is the morphing of Candyman being a freedom fighter. And that these individuals who are into certain things, right, were now going to get their comeuppance. And it showed the art ward for his LGBTism. That all the top people that needed to be wooed and respected were white gay men. Then they had the sister there that was beneath him. And she gave the whole, the sister was like, yo, I want to be independent. I want to do my own thing and stepping out on my own. And the spirit of that's the spirit of independence. That's the spirit of John Jacques Dessalines. That's the spirit of Malcolm X. That the total nation building freedom. That I don't like some of the things that are going on here. I want to go another direction. And the sister pulling her back. You can come inside. You can change things from the inside. That's what they told her. And all you're doing is making a few adjustments, right? They wholeheartedly believe in assimilation and integration and rising the percentage of black involvement in a white art world from 10% to 15%. That's their change. That's the change that they're talking about. When you're talking about full and complete independence, that's 100% change. But bit by bit, you had the pulling apart of the black man and the black woman, the brother, McCall and his lady. And that people were saying, well, he is the problem. He's the problem. He's living with her in his lofty apartment and whatever. And he's a failing artist. And he's trying to find something to get him over the top. So he deals with this Candyman thing. Is he showing the black man gay and showing the black man powerless? You see, so you have all the aspects of black culture here because the biggest power broker is the Candyman. Now let's get to the story. The young man seeing the Candyman alive, seeing him killed, then seeing him called and come back. And that there's razors and candy. Now we know that in the streets these things were occurring, that people would put razors and candies for various different reasons, to hide them or to harm children and all this other stuff. They presumed that this black man had given a candy to a white girl and the razor had cut her tongue or something like that. So they're looking for this dude. And when they showed him, uh, um, he when they showed him, he looked angry. When they do that wanted dead or alive poster and they have him snarling and all that. So the police encapsulate Cabrini Green because we're held hostage there, right? Gentrification means within the impoverished community that are filled with blacks, whites, police officers are stationed there to make sure that's where they stay. They care not if they harm one another. They just want to make sure you niggas stay here while the rest of Chicago lives in the lap of luxury. But we want to make sure the gangs, because there's such a large number of blacks, exterminate themselves while we help you, of course. And so what they showed is Jordan Peele's is again magnificent as this is the police white aggression against black people. And that even if he harmed someone, that you take him in and he has his day in court. But they had no intentions of doing that. They have to protect black youths' lives. And they know they'll get backed by the system, which, when we deal with the end, same thing occurs. They attack the Candyman and they kill him right there. Beat him unmercifully. And so when Anthony McCall, which, the lead protagonist, is kind of ingratiating himself or herself with the story, she becomes one with the story. And so she eventually calls on the Candyman. And now they're linked together. But interestingly enough, in this particular movie, there was no lines. Tony Todd talked to the white women in the first two movies, which is kind of synonymous, symbolistic as well. Again, the black man's hankering for white women, the perception and the reality, um, which is the perception being the creation of the KKK, these murderers, rapists, black men who long for our women. The perception and then the reality that miscegenation is at an all-time high, especially with our men, and the beauty standard that is the white woman, and the manipulation of our mind and psychology to think that our women are the worst and the white women are best, and that we seek them out, right? And white women still have the hankering for the black phallus. It's a tacky sexual relationship, as Neely Fuller said. So there's no interaction communicatively with the newer Candyman, who seemed like a mute that just hung around the community with a hook for a hand, and his left hand he had candy. He always had candy, and he would give the candy out. Once he became the new Candyman, he would have candy, and he kept showing images of him, Anthony McCall, being the Candyman, and you kind of could tell where this thing was going as he took the bee sting. Once he called and he came to Cabrini Green, a bee landed on his hand and stung his hand. And throughout the rest of the movie, his arm started to rot away because he was becoming the next Candyman. It took me a little while to realize where this thing was going because I had to see the first one. If I saw the first one and remember the names and all that, I'm like, oh Lord, he's gonna be the new Candyman. But he's going on this journey of learning, right? And so he meets the brother again who saw him alive, then saw him come back and dead and kill his sister. So he has this intimate relationship with the Candyman. He knows he's dead. So once the dude comes back, he knew exactly who he is originally. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to be a vessel to this thing. You know what I mean? Because I have done the knowledge. And so he begins to tell the story. He begins to call the names of black men who were murdered unjustly by the system. The youngest person ever to be charged with the crime and executed, George Stinney, young child that you can look up right now. You can Google his picture right now. He looked like any young boy you ever seen. He is gone, executed by the state for a crime he did not commit. He became a Candyman. And all the others, multiple others, brothers who were in the line, and it was supposed to be and made to be an army. It became a badge of honor. He went from a monster, a grotesque monster, killing people because he was antagonized, to be a freedom fighter and a protector of the black community. And this is what the brother had said at the end. He said, we need Candyman. When you have to, this is a Jesus story. When you have brothers whom are alive and don't fight back, you have to call on someone who was murdered by the very same entity that's murdering us now. And he will avenge you post haste. And at the end, Tony Todd, making his brilliant return, realizes what it is. And the young brother, Anthony McCall, realized what it was. This is a bigger purpose, and that it's already happening. I can't stop it. As soon as I got stung by the bee, I was done. I just had to go through this process. And so they set the whole thing up. McCall's at the end. The transformation is beginning. The brother had already called the police, said the Candyman is here. He's going to give him the coat. He's going to give him the hook. And he knows the moment they see him, they're not going to take him in quietly. They're going to kill him. Creating the spirit. Creating the next Candyman. Continuing it. So he attacks her to stop her. She kills the brother. The new Candyman comes in and says, I think he's dead. And he dies in her arms, or is dying in her arms. The unwitting black woman who unwittingly helps the white man kill us. How often, when there are disputes, where our women call the police thinking they're going to help the situation? Officers of the law do not stop situations from occurring. They are there to arrest people. Is a law broken? You broke the law, you're going to jail. If there is a dispute, these are the last people to call. They have no people skills whatsoever. None. So what they do is agitate. Hey, you're too close, my safety, and you get in an argument, and then eventually, law broken because now you're arguing with me. And I'm the law here. And so I'm going to handcuff you and take you in. I had an encounter one time in college. White girl that we were going back and forth with. I was in her home. And my homeboy was cool with her. I really didn't like her that much, but I was cool with her roommates. And that's when you find that whole white power allegiance thing, that it was three girls living in the apartment. And I would go over to see the two of them. I didn't care about the head one, looked like Roseanne. And I would talk to them about their relationships and guys they were talking to and all this other stuff. And helping them out, stay there for hours. And they both agreed they did not like the head of the household. So that night during the argument, we pulled cards. It's a card pulling thing now because it's gone beyond, what it was, the initial frustration. Now we're going to deal with everything now. So you over here, you want to get with my roommates and everything. You come over, you're bothering us, and ain't no one likes you. So what you talking about? They talk to me all the time. I come in, they talk about you. They don't like you. So we bring them in, and they all side with her. I'm like, yo, y'all was talking crazy, wild, bad about her. Now we right here, and you don't like me? I come over at night, chat with y'all. That's what it is? Okay. But I needed that to happen. I had to have multiple lessons, as most of us do. But they get on cold. The three of them didn't like each other. It was obvious. Never interacted with one another, never talked to one another. But when my black ass came in there and it was a dispute amongst the four of us, they sided together. Untruthful, lies. So I stopped talking to all of them. But that's what happens. They get on code. We don't. We need somebody to come in and solve our problems. And so the black woman screams out, in here, thinking the police are going to come and revive this man with a hook in his hand and then kill 5, 6 people. And they blow him away unjustly. So they get in the car, and the cracker cop, being a cracker cop, goes in a whole nother direction with everything. Didn't actually know what happened. Was this the guy? And everything like this. He starts going into his bullshit. Well, this is a story we're going to tell. He got a hook. He attacked us. We shot him. He going into cover-up mode because they came in and, just boom, 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 boom. So she's like, yo, what the fuck? So like, we're going to get all ahead of all that. Or, you could tell us and we could say you was his accomplice. How you want to do this? And the sister like, oh shit, this is what they do. They kill innocent black men. They got her in handcuffs. 2 black men dead, and she there by herself. They like, yo, cuffs, put you in the car. Not what happened. This is what's going to happen. So she calls on the protector. That if Jesus was really the Candyman, man, listen, I'd be going all over the United States calling. And she calls on her boyfriend to protect her because he's aware and he knows. And this is why he accepted it finally. Crying to his mother, not realizing what was going on, that he was chosen all those years ago, and that she didn't tell him about it. The right as a freedom fighter and a liberator, that there was a line, a bloodline of Candymen to be able to avenge not only themselves, but those who control the justice system and use it to destroy and control the people. Keep them as subordinates. So he used this hook of justice. Judge, jury, and executioner. There is no discussion. There is no compromise. There is no meetings. There's no organizing. There's no press conference. There's only death. The moment you call my name, you will die. Equalizer shit. Except ain't no white partners. Ain't no white friends. Ain't no white woman that dies and I gotta avenge her death. So that's the reason I get to kill all these white folks. No. Black people are justly murdered. I'm coming for the cracker. And so when he went in that preparatory school, he killed motherfuckers in the vein of Khalid Muhammad. We killed the women, we killed the children, we killed the babies. Why? Because they'll grow up and control and enslave our children, our future generations. So you kill them too. That's the spirit of revolution. And that's what Candyman had become. He had morphed it now, where Nat Turner returns, Malcolm X returns, Jean John Dessalines returns, Conrad George Jackson returns, Huey Newton returns. And through the artwork, they showed that black people trying to live their lives as human beings, whites coming together in the collective, choosing them to be black sacrifices, killing and burning them, cutting off their appendages, eating them. They said no. So he gave instructions to the sister. Now you are to be on code. Tell everybody. Now this is how you make a part 2 and part 3. You attack white supremacy. You go into all the little white neighborhoods. You befriend them, and you tell them about Candyman. And you choose a brother. Brother, in life, you do all right, but you have the potential to be a Candyman. And that you can get to avenge your people, but your life, as you know it, has to end. We have the drastic times calls for drastic and extreme measures. That the living blacks that breathe air every day are too cowardly to take on white supremacy. So we must call on a hook-wielding man to avenge us. And be careful, Negroes, whom are coons and work with the state. If you call on him, he'll eviscerate your ass too. Those who are on code understand and respect his spirit, pay homage to his spirit, and give him white sacrifices. Do not call him if you are not serious. He'll end your life. And I think there need to be sequels to this movie because this is how I've seen it. And these are the type of movies we need to produce. No more Stephen Fetchit movies. You have a black man eviscerating all the cops, and they didn't even call him. She called him. She said, I understand now. As he walked around the car with bees flying around him, and you seen his spirit of multiple armies of Candymen. To go back to the original movie. That's what he wanted. In the first movie, Helen avenged her traitorous husband and cut him in half. He wanted help. He said, now we're going to the brothers, the unresting soul of the brothers, and that they'll be granted Candyman, something like Spawn, similar to Spawn. And I think if they're gonna do a new Spawn, I think Jordan Peele should do that shit too, do Spawn. You know what I'm saying? And get it in. But I want to thank y'all, man. It was a great show. It's an hour. I'm gonna get to work, my regular 9 to 5 and stuff. My nose is itching like crazy. I got a lot of dust in here. Every time I do a show, no matter what, my nose just start itching. But I'm glad y'all couldn't see me around my nose. Please support Mr. X. Cash App, get your hand in my pocket. $, Mr. X capital R. I know most people are gonna think this is a movie, and it's not. It's a movie review. Um, the movie's about an hour and 35 minutes long, um, but it's a great movie. I enjoyed it. And people didn't like it, and I think really the coon element of our people didn't like it because it became political. And so a lot of black people who have checked out want to have fun all the time. Why we can't have fun? I just want to have fun. I want to enjoy stuff. I want to enjoy stuff. I want to enjoy stuff. 99% of the time in my life, I just want to have fun. Why we got to be serious? Niggas don't never want to be serious about nothing. Don't want to tackle anything. Don't want to deal with some shit. We just hope it just goes away. Like, oh man, they gotta have see the Candyman. Where the white women? Where the white women at? Because the original Candyman was okay. I think that the newer one was better. I think part two was better. But they had the white women. You know what I'm saying? They had the white women sex scenes, and you can see some of her titties and all that. They missed that. They're like, man, this is wet. No, it wasn't. This is how you bring back. You start out slow. You want them wanting more. Tony Todd had the one line. You didn't hear much speaking from the Candyman and Anthony McCall. The inflection that they put on Tony Todd's voice that hypnotizes you. You didn't hear any of that from the Candyman because that Candyman was one of the legion of Candyman. You see what I'm saying? He had the killing power, but he was a mute in life. So he ain't gonna talk. But the new Candyman, oh. So you gotta make a part two. And go bold with it. Don't have one black person die in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? The black have it on cold. Black people don't call on Candyman unless we dealing with some crackers. Oh, you about to arrest me? Candyman. Hold on, right? I'm gonna call my lawyer right quick. Hold on a second. Candyman, you know what I'm saying? Fuck that. Nah, niggas. I'm calling my lawyer. I ain't going to jail today. Okay, I ain't do nothing wrong. I'm not going to jail today. How about that? Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me alone. This is black people's sentiment in life. Leave me the fuck alone. I work my 9 to 5 job, $12 an hour. I live my meager life. Just leave me alone. White dominance says, nah, I can't. I can't. I gotta tax you. You know what I mean? I gotta cut off your lights. I gotta have your car break down. And when your car break down, you come for me to fix it. I gotta overcharge you. I gotta keep you in a constant fear. I gotta keep you in constant depression, constant stress, right? So eventually you kill somebody or you blow your own brains out. That's white dominance. I must put my foot on your neck. You living your life smiling this shit, ain't put my foot on your neck. That's not dominance. Dominance is when you up 35-0 and it's 2 minutes and you still got your first team out there and you throwing the ball, you trying to score. And the other team is like, what the fuck? Y'all got us. We lost. You know what I'm saying? We played the brothers in the game. We down 35-11. I coming up to court. These guys got boxing one and they trapping me and all that. I look at them dudes like, bro, we ain't finna beat you. You got us, bro. You ain't got to do all. Y'all jumping at me and trapping me. I'm 40 years old, man. Like we played the team. We was no way in hell we was gonna beat them. No way in hell we was gonna beat them. They was all in their early 20s. I got a young man who was playing me And I guess as a respect, he plays me like Bruce Bowen and Kobe Bryant in 2003. Now I'm old over the hill. I got a stomach and all that, but I'm the league leading scorer. That means I can still ball a little taste. So he playing me. He got help, and this is basketball jargon, y'all, for those who follow basketball. And he does the job. My team was very inept, incapable of doing certain things, and that team that we played against, some of these guys were pros, former Division One players, very talented. We ain't had no chance of hell. It was unfortunate my wife came to that game to see us get blown out like that. I was very embarrassed. But yeah, they dominated us. Put the gas. It did it. And as a player, they only had 5 players. We only had 5 players. So it's not like they could sub the guys out. You know what I'm saying? And I could sit out because we couldn't. It was 5-on-5, and they just played. And that was that. And they dominated. Didn't need to be done the way it was done. But sometimes you find that people are, jealous of what you're doing. So they say that's a humbling experience, but I'm the most humble dude you can come across. I don't need nobody humbling me. I humble myself. I don't need that. I just have confidence in what I do. And white folks don't have that same confidence. They need to dominate. They need to dominate. But I thought it was a great movie. I may watch it again. I just like watching movies like that once or so. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, man, it was beautiful, man. Just to see Tony Todd again. Like I said, I'm a fan of Tony Todd. God bless Tony Todd that he's still alive. We lost A.J. Johnson. R.I.P. A.J. Johnson. I don't like to date the shows like that, but we lost quite a few. I wonder if he had the COVID vaccination. I don't know what his health situation was, but that's unfortunate to have lost another brother, who's known in comedic circles and pretty much was typecast in his movie roles. But he was loved and respected amongst the industry. I just want to say that. Maybe he becomes the Candyman, right? Maybe he becomes the Candyman. AJ Johnson, AJ Johnson, AJ Johnson. Come on back, brother, and avenge our people. As tactics and strategies to have a ghostly entity come and go and murder or kill or avenge for the cause of freedom. He can never kill. You can never be killed. You can't kill what's already dead. Shit, we'd be free in a week. You just get Omarosa back in there. It's interesting enough, bro. I seen a old NBA game. Shout out to Marcus Clark Duncan. He'd be a great Candyman. Holy smokes. He's there with Omarosa. Omarosa there, him, and they, she give him a little smooch and everything. They in front row seats watching the basketball game, the Lakers game. And it's gorgeous. Cool. You know what I mean? And that's the Candyman right there. Look, if you cooning and you working with the state, oh yeah, we come, Candyman coming for you. We got to get you up out of there. Ain't no more discussions. Look, y'all can't call the Candyman on people. We'll call him on your ass. Shut your ass up. We ain't playing no more now. No more games. No more of this shit. Bedwin Central, you Bedwins bitches, y'all better cut that shit out. That whole do you divest? We giving you, look, we gonna send you an order and cease and desist all divest Twitter shit. All this we're divesting from the black man. We wanted you have 1 month from this date. We're giving you time because it's going to take time because you got an addiction. Is a problem. We understand. So we're giving you 30 days. After 30 days, we're checking your Facebooks. We're checking all your social media, emails, everything. Any bullshit against black men and this reverence and favorability to white men, Candyman's coming. You're going to get it. And ain't no talking to Candyman. You can't talk. You can talk to us. You can negotiate with us. After we call Candyman, look, that's the execution button. That is the gas button when you can't undo the gas. When the gas is in there, motherfucker, I'm gonna tell you. We gonna send Candyman at your ass. That's it. That's it and that's all. That's it and that's all. Goodbye. We ain't playing. You know what I'm saying? They gonna make the Candyman act. Those who call Candyman subject to full prosecution, and murder one. Okay, whatever. Come and arrest me. I, I dare you to come. Send a whole platoon to come arrest me. Come arrest me. I called them. Come and arrest me. I'm at the House of Mirrors. Come and arrest me, motherfucker. I dare you. I'm at the house arrest. That's right. I called Katie, man. You want to arrest me? Send everybody, motherfucker. I'm at the House of Mirrors. Send everybody. I'm on the 12th floor. Come get me. I'll be there 2 p.m. Here, I'm right here. Come get me. You gonna have to rocket launch my ass. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to rocket launch my ass. You're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? Use the drone. Come get me. Nigga, better yet, I turn myself in. As soon as I walk in, get him. As soon as I walk in, the doors start locking. Where's my cell? Soup. Everybody start getting cut in half. It's like, man, listen. Shoot. I want the first. I want Tony Todd. I want the first one. Yeah, it's gonna be like video games. You get to choose what Candyman you get, right? Got the music in the background. And you choose let me go with let me go with George Stinney. I'm gonna go with George Stinney, Candyman. I'm gonna go with him. Blue. Let's go to Utah, George. We going to Utah. Matter of fact, where was you killed at, bro? Let me look at your story. We gonna go back to your hometown. You deserve that. We gonna go to your hometown for a little bit, and we gonna get some vengeance for you. Let's go ahead and get some vengeance for George, right? Justice for George. You know what I'm saying? Justice for George. George Floyd be the next Candyman. People should start doing images of that. See that brings the element of rebellion, subversive activity, right? You got white folks made a whole rebellion and it's nothing. They didn't get the response that we would get when the Panthers went on the Capitol Hill. It wasn't the same response. All the motherfuckers should be in jail. That's cool. Yo, I hope you enjoyed the show, man. I'm out. Get your hand in my pocket.